Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum class. I welcome you to English grade 8 video lessons. I'm your instructor Zahmid. I hope that you're doing well and you're enjoying your learning. My dear learners, we are dealing with our unit number 3 for grade 8. The title is Don't Quit. This will be our lecture number 1A with the competency of grammar. Now, let's try to read and understand our student learning outcome so that we know that what we are supposed to do in this video lesson. Now, our student learning outcome is analyze and use adjectives in reading, listening to text, and also in their writing. Use degrees of adjectives. My dear learners, this is about using adjectives. We will try to first recall and understand about adjectives, then we will use them and we will learn them using examples. Also, we will try to see them in both listening and reading. Also, we will be using the degrees of adjectives that we already know. Now, here is your brainstorming activity for today. Now, there's a picture in front of you. How can you describe it? Can you describe this whole scene in your words? Now, moving on. What are the adjectives? Let's see. So, let's try to read the definition of adjectives. Adjective, we know it's a part of speech, and adjectives are words that modify or describe nouns, pronouns, and other adjectives. So, adjectives are words. Number one, they modify, they add into, and they describe nouns, pronouns, and other adjectives. So, here are some examples from the text. For all the sad words of tongue or pen, so stick to the fight when you are hardest hit. My dear learners, the bold words are actually adjectives. Sad is an emotion, it's describing the words, it's describing the noun. And in the next line, so stick to the fight when you're hardest hit. Hardest shows the superlative degree of adjective. Hard is basically an adjective because it's modifying the noun fight. Why? Because it's telling us the intensity of the fight, that it's going to be hard, and we are using the superlative degree of hard into the form of hardest. So these are the adjectives. They are actually modifying your noun, your pronoun, or other adjectives. Now let's talk about types of adjectives. Yes, we have so many different types of adjectives to explore. Now that we are clear about adjective and we are also familiar with the examples, let's get going with types of adjectives. So number one is descriptive adjectives. They are used to describe nouns and pronouns. It's very much evident from the name descriptive adjectives that it's all about describing and description. For example, wrong, high, low, pressing, strange, all these are examples of descriptive adjectives because it's giving description, whether if something is wrong, high, low, all these are adding and modifying the noun or the pronoun. Next one is quantitative adjectives. It's about the quantity, describes the quantity of something. For example, the words like many, whole, half, a lot, or etc. all these quantitative adjectives because they are telling us the quantity if we talk something accordingly. Now comes demonstrative adjectives. It demonstrates, it describes which noun or pronoun you are referring to. So demonstrative adjectives, if you remember demonstrative pronouns in which we learned about these words, that, this, these, and those, same thing goes with adjectives. Adjectives can also be demonstrative. So when we use these, we are using adjectives of demonstrative kind, direction, or the point. Possessive adjectives show possession of something. If somebody owns something or anything, for example, my, his, her, their, your, and our. All these show possession. So these are our possessive adjectives because they are actually showing the possession to the noun. Interrogative adjectives interrogate, meaning that they ask a question. We know the interrogative words like which, what, whose, etc. There's so many others. So they are our interrogative adjectives because we are using them to interrogate. They ask a question. Now, for distributive adjectives, they describe specific members of a group. For example, each, all, another, etc. All these are showing us that whether it's for one person or more than one, all, another, it's showing the group. Now, all these types of adjectives, let's recall them, let's reread them. Descriptive adjectives, quantitative, demonstrative adjectives, possessive adjectives, interrogative, and distributive adjectives. You can note them down and memorize them to use adjectives correctly in the future. Now, we have some mixed examples of all these different types of adjectives. Can you read them and tell which one is of which adjective type? Let's say, we ate some delicious food. Now, some is showing us quantity. Now, this is an adjective that is adding to the noun food. Give me that notebook. This is a demonstrative adjective because it's demonstrating, it's showing, and it's telling us about the notebook, which is our noun. Next one is, which subject do you like the most? Now, this demonstrative adjective is obviously asking a question, and it will come mostly at the first word of the sentence. This is also showing us interrogative sentence. Next one is, I lost his glasses again. Now, his is showing the possession of glasses. It's a possessive adjective. Next one is, each student has a pen. Now, each is a distributive adjective. Now, the left one is our descriptive adjectives. Now, let's clear it with an example. The red apple tasted sweet and juicy. Now, red is actually describing our noun, which is apple. It's telling us the color of the noun, which is apple, and it is ultimately also describing our noun. So these are all the examples of different adjectives that we learned in the previous slide so that you can know them easily, and now you can make so many sentences of your own using all these different kind of adjectives by yourself. Now, let's talk about compound adjectives. I hope, my curious learners, that you're already familiar with compound nouns. They are two words put together and they are acting as one word or one noun. Now, let's talk about compound adjectives. They are compound words that act as adjectives, contain two or more words hyphenated together. Now, we know that compound words are written with hyphen or without hyphen also, and they are written in three different ways: with hyphen, without hyphen, two different words with a space, or put them together without any space. So these are the three different ways in which we can write our compound words. Compound adjectives are also words that act as adjectives together as one adjective. Now let's talk about them with examples. Here we have an example. She is a well-known artist. Now, well-known is actually a compound adjective. These are two words separated by a hyphen, but they are acting as one adjective compound adjective. It's telling us, it's describing our pronoun, which is she. I have a 10-page assignment. Again, this is our compound adjective. They gave 10-minute break time. He took a 5-week course. We use cruelty-free products. So all these hyphenated words, compound nouns, compound words are actually our compound adjectives. They are also adding and describing our noun or pronoun. Now let's talk about comparative and superlative degrees of adjectives, as mentioned in our students learning outcome, that we will be looking at degrees of adjective. Now, adjectives indicate the position on a scale of comparison. So this is about our comparative adjective when we are comparing two things, and this can be categorized into the positive form, the comparative form, and the superlative form. Adjectives can be positive, comparative, and superlative. Now let's talk about some examples. This is short. This is a positive degree of adjective. Her hair is longer than mine. Now her hair is being compared with mine, so we can know easily that we will use a comparative adjective over here. And you know, my dear learners, that we use er after the word to make it sound a comparative adjective. So when we are comparing, when we are using comparative adjectives, we will be adding er at the end. He is the oldest child. Now this oldest is the superlative degree of the word old. So old, we already know it's an adjective, and its superlative degree will be oldest when we add est at the end. The car is more expensive. She is the most successful student. These are positive degree of adjective. So we saw both all three of these positive, comparative, and superlative degrees of adjective with examples. Now here is a simulation video for your better understanding. Now let's talk about your classroom activity from your book, page 24. This says it's a charades game. Students act out different adjectives without using words, and their classmates have to guess the adjectives based on their actions. Now you will use all these different kind of adjectives while doing this classroom activity. Here is your worksheet for your better understanding. It will be distributed to you to practice about your adjectives. Here is your homework. You have to read the extract in pairs. One pair reads and the other listens, and highlight the use of adjectives in it. Underline the adjectival phrases from it and use them in your sentences. Now, here we have some resources at the end of the lesson: worksheet, presentation, your lesson plan, skill sheet, and question bank. All these resources are available and they can be reached out in the description of the video. Thank you, my dear learners, for listening to the video lesson. I hope that you have good time learning about adjectives. We have also looked at different types of adjectives with examples, followed by the degrees of adjectives. They are positive, comparative, and superlative. I hope that you have clearly grasped the concept of adjectives. Now, till the next video lesson, Allah Hafiz.